I pledge myself to your teachings.
If you guys have noticed, I've been growing my hair out. And there's a reason why I've been growing it out. I got my Anakin cosplay. I will make a video on my review of the cosplay as well. But right now, I just want to talk about one thing. And I feel like I should have made this video a long time ago, considering what kind of fan I am. But I actually did make a video. I made a podcast of it. And I was using clips from the movies. And it kept getting copyrighted, blocking it worldwide. So you know what? I'm just going to do it with my face. Unfortunately, you guys have to look at my face. So it is what it is. Now, I'm going to talk about my one and true favorite character of all time. And that is the amazing, the great, the awesome Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. Now you're probably wondering why I said slash. I do know that some people consider them two different people. They kind of are. But the thing about me is, like, I can't choose. I just love the Anakin Vader arc. And because of that, I have to say that they're both my favorite characters. You know, they're the same person. Any Star Wars fan knows that they're not the same quote-unquote person, because the way the mentality is. So, but yes, I'm a huge Anakin Vader fan, and I know that I've been posting a lot of Rey stuff, but I kind of wanted to get that out of the way to just defend her a little bit. Maybe I'll talk more about that, but we'll see. But we are going to finally get into the nitty-gritty of what my channel was meant to be from the beginning, and that is just me talking about Star Wars and my favorite, who is Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. Now, this is just an appreciation video, so I'll probably post like pictures up or something like that, but anyways, yeah, so this is a simple little video of me just talking about why I think that he is legitimately the best character of all time. First of all, his arc. You get this boy from Tatooine, and he turns into this villain of Darth Vader. And it's not just like one of the, you know, the best villains of all time. No, he is the best villain of all time, like of any fandom, of any franchise, of any storytelling. He is the best. Like, there's no question about it. He is the epitome of the best character ever written. And I get people argue about that, but I'm not gonna argue that. But this is my favorite character. Anakin Skywalker is just an amazing character. Just, you get this boy from Tatooine, this 9-year-old boy, and he's a slave, you know what I mean? He has a single mother, you know? He doesn't know who his father is. He doesn't have a father. It's kind of like, whether you're religious or not, it's kind of like the whole, like, Jesus aspect, you know? Like, his father is the Force, and it's just amazing that he grew up to be, like, he was raised, like, in a horrible way, and, like, this, from the get-go, this boy has been suffering. And then you get to be him in the Jedi Order, and, like, he's a slave to the Jedi Order, and then, you know, and then he becomes a slave to Palpatine, and then he's a slave to the dark side, and then he becomes Vader, and just, he's just an amazing character. And I just love him so much. And it's funny because my dad actually told me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I remember we were watching Empire Strikes Back, and he actually told me, I was just, you know, just sitting there beside him. I think my brother was with us, so can't remember, but my sisters were not. They were not into Star Wars, and neither was my mom. But we were just watching Empire Strikes Back, and my dad is like the epitome of who Luke Skywalker is. Like, you think of Luke Skywalker, that's who my dad is. My dad is, to the T, Luke Skywalker. And it's funny because Luke Skywalker is actually my dad's favorite character. And we're watching this movie, and I turn to my dad and I go, you know, like, why do I like Vader so much? I'm 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and he's just like, you know, sometimes we kind of like go towards the characters we love, and I'm like, well, I'm not a villain, Daddy. Like, I'm just, you know, I love his suit, and I love his, you know, his voice, and like, I just love him so much. Like, I just admire this guy. Like, I had Vader everything, and like, I had this red t-shirt that had just like a copy picture of like Vader on it. And like, I wore it everywhere. But like, my dad was like, you know, we kind of tend to like gravitate towards characters we relate to a lot. And he's like, you know, I love Luke Skywalker. Do you want to know why I love Luke Skywalker so much? And I go, yeah, sure. Why do you like Luke Skywalker so much? And he told me, he goes, because I see a lot of myself in him. You know, I'll do anything for you guys. I'll do anything for you kids. You know, because I have 4 other siblings, so I'm the youngest of 5. And my dad literally told me, he goes, you see how we watched Return of the Jedi the other day? And I was like, yeah, Dad, I remember. And he goes, you know how Luke he never gave up on Vader? And I was like, yeah, he never did. Like, you know, I watch these movies with you all the time, and like, I realized that like Luke never gave up on his father. And not like that clearly, but you know, like kind of kiddish, but you know what I mean. Like, I realized that, you know, like Luke never gave up on his dad. And he goes, you know, that's how I am with you kids. Like, I would never give up on you guys. And I see a lot of myself in Luke Skywalker for that fact that like, I would do anything for you guys. No matter where you go in life, I'm always gonna be there for you, and I'm always gonna tell you what's right from wrong. And I did grow up in a very religious family, so it kind of made a lot of sense. But when I got older, I started seeing a lot more of like, my dad really was like the real life version of Luke Skywalker. And like, I'm so critical. Like, I'm very critical of Vader and Anakin because like, and I'm also very, very critical of Luke, because when I think of Luke, I think of my dad. When I look at Luke Skywalker and I watch those movies, I see my father. Like 8 years old when the Phantom Menace came out, and I just liked Anakin. I was like, you know, that's younger Vader. I was like, Dad, that's younger Vader. When he said his name was Anakin Skywalker, I was like, Dad, I remember from Return of the Jedi, that's Vader. He goes, yes, I get it. Like, calm down. And then when Attack of the Clones came out in 2002, which was bullshit because it came out on my sister's birthday. And she's not a Star Wars fan. Like I said, none of my sisters are Star Wars fans. And I was really upset because it came out on her birthday. And Revenge of the Sith was supposed to come out on June 23rd, 2005. But they changed the date because people are just so excited for it. So they moved it up to May 19th. And I was very upset because, you know, June 23rd is my birthday. And I was so excited. And it turned out that's like my favorite movie. That Revenge of the Sith is the best movie of the series. I'm just gonna say it right now. The best saga, Revenge of the Sith, right there. But I remember watching it when I was 11 years old when Attack of the Clones came out, and I was like, you know, like, Dad, I really like this Anakin character. And he goes, of course you do, you know, like, you like Vader. And I'm like, no, like, he's talking, he's like speaking to me. And my dad was like, remember what I told you when you were younger. You relate to the characters that, you know, that are very much like you. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not, like, I want to kill people. And he goes, I know you want to do that. But he's like, you need to, like, he's like, maybe it's, you see yourself in him. And I was like, no, I don't see myself in him that much. Like, I just really like this character. And, you know, I'm 11 years old. I don't really know much, you know what I mean? And he just kept smiling. He was just like, I know my kid. Like, and, you know, I was just not just really like Anakin, Dad. That's it. You know, maybe have a little bit in common, but not really. Like, I just really like this character. And then I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith. This is my first ever midnight premiere. I'm 13 years old, 1 month away from being 14. I remember seeing it, first night midnight premiere, with my dad and my mom, and I'm just so freaking excited. And I remember watching that movie and just feeling this whole wave of hitting me. And I'm thinking about when I was younger and when my dad told me, and I see this movie for the first time, and it was the first time ever that I really was like, my father was right. I connect to this character so much. But I'm still only a teenager, you know what I mean? I'm 13 years old, you know, almost 14. I'm just a teenager. And I remember coming out and I was like, Dad, you know, I'm starting to think that maybe I really am like, you know, Anakin. And he goes, that scares me a little bit, but he's like, you know, Vader's always been your favorite. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, I come from a very religious family, like I said this. And he says, sometimes, you know, the Lord works in different, like, you know, in mysterious ways. And I'm like, but I wouldn't, you know, like, go to the dark side and, you know, go to the bad side of the things, you know what I mean? And I guess this video's turned into how I'm related to Anakin instead of just how much I appreciate him, but that's fine. I remember coming out of that theater and just being like, you know, I got really emotional with the Obi-Wan and Anakin scene when he tells him that he's his brother. And, you know, he already, you know, he had the high ground. And, like, I know people make fun of the, you know, the high ground joke, but it's like, every time I see that scene, I just, it gets to me a lot. I remember coming out, I saw it about 5 times already at this point, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, Dad, I don't want to relate to this character. I love him to death, but, like, Dad, I don't want to relate to this character. And he goes, you know, it's okay. And I was like, what do you mean it's okay? And he goes, you know, I see a lot of conflict within you, myself. And I try to do my best to bring you, you know, to ease that conflict inside of you. And as I got older and older, I realized that, like, a lot of the things I was struggling with, and every time I watched these movies, and it wasn't just, okay, I'm gonna say this right now, out of all 3 of the trilogies, the original trilogy is still my favorite, but every time I watch the prequel trilogy, I see myself in them. And every time Anakin talks, every time he has a feeling, I feel him. And I'm just like, every time I watch these movies, I get emotional. Whenever Anakin was on the scene, on the screen, I get emotional, like beyond emotional. And when I was 23 years old, you know, actually no, let's go back. When I was 17 years old, I started falling out of our religion. My dad tried to bring me back, and it was a big mix. From when I was 17 until I was 25, when I left our religion, almost 26, it was just this conflict battle between me. And I never really understood that. And I was like, I don't understand why I feel this, like, conflict within me. And then I'm watching Revenge of the Sith with my fiance, who was my girlfriend at the time, and we're watching it. And I feel this conflict within me, and I turn to her and I go, I was a slave to my religion. I wanted to be everything my dad wanted me to be. Just how Anakin wanted to be everything the Jedi Order wanted him to be. And I was so lost at that point. Very, very lost. I'm getting emotional. And I turned to her and I go, I relate to this character so much that it hurts. Because I know exactly how he feels. Because I've been there through my own experiences. And ever since I was a little child, I loved Vader, and I didn't know that inside I was gonna, like, relate to this character. And it's just ridiculous how crazy, like, and people will think, maybe you mapped yourself out. No, I never really did, because I never thought of myself as this character until I was in my 20s. Okay? Until I was in my 20s, I said, damn, I relate to Anakin so much, it is scary. And I didn't even realize this until I started watching it again when I was 25, almost 26 years old, with my girlfriend, who's my fiance now. And I messaged my dad like like a year ago. And I messaged him and I go, Dad, you know how I feel about the religion and, you know, all that mumbo jumbo. And he's like, I understand, but you you gotta come back, and he did all that, you know, like, please come back and all that stuff, you know, like kind of how Luke does with, you know, please come back to the light side. And just recently, my dad, we got, you know, Disney Plus has all the movies, and my dad had a marathon before we saw, me and him went to go see Rise of Skywalker together, and we're waiting for the movie to start. I had my popcorn bucket, and he turns to me and he goes, "You remember that conversation we had when you were a kid?" And I go, "Yeah." It's stuck in my head. Every time I think about Star Wars, I think about that moment in my head when me and my dad were watching Empire Strikes Back. And he goes, "I know how you feel now." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You know, he's like, call me crazy, but you know, I watched all these movies before we came here, and I remember telling you," my dad has a very bad memory, but he still remembers every little vivid moment with me and him. And he goes, "I remember telling you when you were a young kid that we relate to the characters that we see ourselves in. And I remember you telling me that, Dad, I don't see myself as Vader." And then he's like, "I was right. And somehow inside me, I always felt like you were going to have this conflict between, you know, the religion and, you know, how Anakin had the restriction against the Jedi Order." It's crazy. And then people might think I'm making this shit up, but I'm not. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, it's very real. And he's like, the religion was more like, you know, your Jedi Council. And they were holding you back from your potential. And he's like, "I've seen you grow." He's like, "As much as I want you back in the religion, I know you're not going to come back." But he's like, "I've seen you grow into a much better person. But you still have that conflict within you that you just want to make us happy." And I'm like, he's like, "That's exactly what Anakin wanted. He just wants a family. And he just wanted to be perfect, but he couldn't." And that resonated with me very well. Very, very much so. And yeah, I remember hearing that and just thinking, wow, it's crazy. So, end of the story is, this is gonna be about how I love Anakin, but now it just turned into how I relate to him. Maybe I'll just do another video of how much I love him, but Anakin Skywalker and myself are very, very, you know, connected because of what my dad said. And it's crazy to think that, but it's true. And I can't agree with it more. We tend to gravitate towards characters that are very much like us. Now, you can like characters and not have anything to, like, related to them. That's perfectly fine. I like characters from different fandoms that, like, I have nothing in common with. But, like, I like Negan from Walking Dead. I have no connections to anything that he does or want. But I like Negan from Walking Dead. But there's always one character you relate to the most, and that's why they stick to you. You know, like, and that's just how it is. And yeah, with that being said, Anakin Skywalker and me are, like, connected, and it's just so crazy to see how my life turned out kind of like that, but then, like, in, like, you know, more of like a realistic way. Yeah, so hope that you guys like this video, and I'm sorry that was kind of, like, you know, jibber jabbish, but I hope you liked it. If you guys like what you see, please comment, like, and subscribe, and please keep safe, and as always, may the Force be with you all. Peace.